we are going to be extracting the World Bank projection on subsidy removal. And with us in the studio is an economic expert, a businessman. He's not a person than pharmacist, Erabo Osasewe. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. The pleasure is always mine.
Okay. Should I say it's a coincidence that we are wearing matching outfit this morning?
Wow, it's a wonderful coincidence.
Or did we plan it?
Not at all.
Okay, let's just quickly start. We'll be expecting Barrister Israel Adodo. We're also expecting to join us on this segment. Emmanuel Obakbolo Esquire, he too will be joining us, but we are going to kick straight and start up immediately. According to World Bank, there will be a massive inflation in the coming month. So if this inflation in the coming month is going to affect us, how are we going to come out of this inflation?
Well, it's a tough call because we're already seeing the effect of this inflation. The consumer price index is already spiking up. Like I said in the last program we were here, there was a product I bought just within 2 weeks interval. And I bought it at a certain price. Going back 2 weeks later, the price rose with over 300%.
So you got it for like how much?
I got it for like 450. Coming this time around, I'm getting it for like 1,800.
Wow.
That is over 300% increase. So that is just one aspect. So I also look at the market women, how this inflation is also cutting into their businesses. And the most threatening part is that we've not seen the end yet, because the World Bank projection is that it's still going to increase to about 25%. But I feel that is an official record, but I know it's more than that. It will be more than that. So things are going to really get tough. And the common man would really have a serious hit because it's virtually going to affect every commodity. Because once you touch fuel, oil, which our economic is majorly run on it, anything that alters it is going to have a cascading effect, a spiral effect. It will cut across every commodity in the market. So, but looking at Tinubu administration, presently is doing all the right thing, but is it going to be sustainable? Let's note the outcome of the tribunal and court issue. If it goes in his favor, we just hope that he's going to sustain it. Why did I say he's taking the right step in the right direction? Now, first of all, they want to make the naira float. They want to float the currency, which is a very good step in the right direction. What does it mean to float the naira? It's going to help the economy at the long run. You know, naira has have a kind of a permanent peg. Why in the black market we've been seeing naira 7 something, but in the official rate, $1. Yes, in the official rate is still 4 something. That is, you are having a kind of a fixed currency. It's not good. You are trying to remove the power of the naira being able to compete in the global market. Take for example, dollar is not fixed. Dollar is a floating currency. Euro is floating. So allow the naira to stand on its own. Allow the uncertainty of the economy, the global economy. Let's see how naira would stand before it. And over time, if naira is able to take a good stand, it's going to emerge as one of the top strong currency in the world. So this is a good step in the right direction. And also the unification of the exchange rate is one laudable decision that the Tinubu administration is doing. I love it so much because this will totally eliminate arbitrage. And funny enough, it is only the rich that has been taking advantage of arbitrage, whereby they know that in the black market, you can get naira for 750. They will get the naira at the official rate and sell it in the black market and make excessive gain. But the poor man cannot do this deal because it's totally off their limit. So once the unification of the exchange rate come in place fully, you're going to see that we are going to have a new emerging economy for Nigeria. And it's going to give a kind of a level playground for the common man to be able to excel.
Now, to an extent, in the country, whenever the cost of goods go up, it doesn't come down again. Even when there is kind of turnout and prices reduce officially, people who sells this thing, they don't find a way of bringing the price, the cost of goods down. Recently, there's another projection that bread may be sold for higher price. And this is a common eatable that is found in almost all households. There is no family you go to that will not find a loaf of bread on their dining. And now they are saying it's going to increase to an extent. And we live in a time, or we live in a nation where whatever goes up doesn't come down. We've seen where fuel prices increase, transportation was hijacked, and even when the prices get stable, transportation doesn't come down. So how do we now balance this equation?
Yes, just a few days ago, I was reading an article looking at the World Bank projection of inflation. They actually did not just tell us what the outcome is going to be for us. They also actually provide, they provide a kind of a solution, how we can mitigate the effect. Because they also made a projection that by 2014, by 2024, I mean, that the inflation rate is going to come down. Now, they advise us what we can do to ensure stability of the consumer price index. That Nigeria government should come up with a policy to regulate stability of prices. Take, for example, in the UK, a commodity can have the same price for the next 10 years, 15 years. It doesn't move. These are policies they've put in place. You cannot just come around and begin to, give prices to your own products at your own will. No, there should be a kind of a unification and stability of prices across board. That is, if you should go to Sokoto, that same product, you're going to get it at that fixed price. You know that come what may,
there's a fixed price.
There's a fixed price for it. And that will also eliminate fraudulent activities by marketers and vendors, those who are selling those products. Because they know that, look, if I'm getting this thing for 10 naira, that is a cost price, I should be selling it for 15 naira. And anything outside of that, I put myself in trouble. So there should be a strict policy to regulate price stability. They advise us. But the point is, are they going to enforce it? Because if they do, it's going to go a long way to help. You and I would not go to a supermarket and begin to price because you already know what the price will be. That puts you at a relaxed mode. It also helps you to plan. Like for salary earners, we know how difficult it can be when price begin to, spike up and down. It totally disarrange your schedule. Your plans, everything is unpredictable. But once you know that, look at the price of this, look at the price of this, you are able to plan your affairs. Okay. With the little you have, you know how to schedule it and how to manage it to be able to achieve what you want.
All right, if you're just tuning in, we are still on This Morning on ITV, reaching you live from the network service of independent television. We'll quickly take a short break, and when we return back, we'll extend the front line of this discussion. Don't go nowhere.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you so much for still trusting us and leaving your dial locked in frequency to this dial. We'll quickly continue with our discussion. The increase in PMS, or the subsidy removal, has generated lots of controversies and lots of reactions in the public domain. And of course, World Bank are projecting that Nigerians will be having a 25% increase. There's going to be a kind of 25% increase in inflation. And this is not really going down well with some citizens, as fears of being counted among the 101 million Nigerians that will be pushed into poverty has been a concern. And Benjamin Osasere has been with us in the studio. Thank you so much, Benjamin Osasere.
Thank you.
Well, our Abuja Network Center will be part of this discussion as we move further. Now, quickly, PMS have a way of affecting other aspects of the economy. Once there's increase of price in petrol, to an extent, we should expect increase in other aspects. Some persons are saying educational sector, health sector, and other sectors may experience serious increase as time goes by. Do you agree with that?
Yes, you know, when an economic is solely run on oil and gas, you expect to see such effects in every other facet. Now, this is years of negligence on the part of our government, right from time, because the oil money seems so easy to get. So they neglected every other facet of the economy. And that is what we are suffering today. If our government has been so sensitive, like I said, this is not the time for government to feel it is not their business to be in business. A good nation whose economic is thriving, is doing very well. You observe that they have a lot of economists, experts in business, who advise them on the right steps to take. Now, if Nigerian government have been investing in other facets of the economy, we would not be where we are today. Like, for example, the agricultural facet, we feel we are even doing well. We're not doing well. We've not even tapped into 10% of the power of agriculture in this country. Nigeria as a whole has the capacity, if agriculture is tapped into, to feed the entire Africa. Because we have the manpower, we have the resources, we have the capital.
We have the landmass.
We have the landmass. What is it that we don't have that God has not given us? You see, the negligence of government, I think, I strongly suggest that they should start seeing government as a business. Any politician who is trying to vie into those offices, they should be strongly entrenched into entrepreneurship. They should understand the core values of business. Because once you know that, if that is your foundation, you are going to be able to manage the economy. That is why when Peter Obi always speak, I respect that man, because it is just obvious that he understands business. Now, we need a leader like that to understand business. So once he comes in, he knows the right buttons to press to bring out, to revamp the economy.
But there's a government in power, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And he has kick-started well, to an extent, according to some persons.
Yes, he's moving in the right direction, like I said before. But let's just hope that this will be sustainable. Then on the part of our masses, the you and I, we need to get creative. Otherwise, we'll just be lost in time as far as existence is concerned. Because this inflation is, in fact, is wiping out a lot of population, putting them into abject poverty. The only way for us to be able to mitigate the effect of inflation, we need to start being creative and come up with multiple sources of income. Let's try to do some other small businesses that can support what we have. Because if we are relying on just, like, for example, the civil servant and those salary earners, if we rely solely on our salary, things will be so tough. It will be so hard. So we need to be creative. Let's try to think of multiple sources of income. Let's try to generate other forms of income that can help us to survive these times.
Okay, I think, Dominic, if you're set to take the next shot from Abuja, if you're set to take the next shot, Dominic. Okay, while we're waiting to have Dominic on board to take the next shot. Now, there have been speculations that if in the coming months we are going to be faced with serious poverty from the index that we heard, how will government support the citizens? Should there be a way, should there be a palliative measure Should there be a kind of boost in the take-home pay? What aspects should the government start from to ensure that this, the pain is not felt that much?
First and foremost, the macro industry, the small businesses, in fact, they are the powerhouse of any economy. When we talk about the micro businesses, we're talking about the barber that cuts her hair. We're talking about the mini marts around the corner. Those are having small supermarket and thereabouts. They're part of the micro businesses. They were talking about the business centers, those who operate the computers, the photocopies, the typing aspect of the business. These people need funding. They need a kind of soft loan for them to continue to float. I was speaking with one of my friends who owns a business center the other day. He told me they just bought 15,000 naira worth of fuel, and that, look at the time, it's just 3 o'clock and the fuel is gone. I said, what?
That day?
That day. I said, you spend up to about 15,000 and by 3 o'clock the fuel is gone? He said, yes.
That PMS is adulterated, don't you think so?
Well, I wouldn't know. The point I'm trying to say is, he told me, before now, 5,000 naira worth of fuel can run him to this extent. Now, he needs to spend about 15,000 naira. How much is he making from the business? If this continues for the next 6 months, I bet you he's going to be run out of business. In order for the government to be able to sustain these macro businesses that are here and there, they contribute a lot to the economy. Now, that man I'm talking about is a family man, has children, who pay for school fees. Now imagine if that business is run out. How is he going to feed his family? How is he going to pay for the children's school fees? Do you see the effect, the ripple effect of the fuel subsidy removal? It's a good thing, but the government are not doing enough to mitigate the effect. They drastically have to do something right now. Not that they'll tell you they've disbursed a small amount and the common man in the street would never benefit from such funding. They need to put things in place to ensure that if it's micro banks they want to use, whatever conventional banks they want to use, the money should really get to these people. There should be a committee that will be put in place to monitor it. And it can be done. Once they do that, it will go a long way to mitigate the effect of this inflation hike that we are experiencing and the fuel subsidy removal. It will help a lot.
Okay, Dominic, if you're there, let's take your own filler.
All right, thank you, Praise. I wanted to ask Benjamin, talking about inflation, and I bet you many, those who go to, especially the poor ones as they tag them, may not really understand what the word inflation implies. Or what they know is that once you get to the market and the goods and commodities have increased, definitely your take-home pay will not be able to buy anything from the market. Now, how do we begin to reconcile these figures that come out from the World Bank and the risk situation in the country? Because if you look at it, we keep hearing World Bank or IMF giving us statistics happening in our country. Meanwhile, we didn't know the true reflection of it. How do we begin to reconcile these two factors? Do Nigerians really understand they are having inflation issues that is coming people in?
Okay, now, Benjamin, you have to react to this.
Okay. Well, the common man in the street, like he said, they always see the effect in this price spike. And like he also said, those who are salary earners would also feel the effect strongly because the salary is stagnant. Now, what you used to purchase for 5,000, now you're getting it for 7,000. So obviously, you have been incapacitated. You have been pushed to the wall. You are totally confused because your salary cannot, no matter how you're going to try to do the mathematics, it's going to be difficult. So the effect of inflation is alarming, is a serious matter. Take, for example, those who may have a hedge are those who buy and sell. If they buy for 10 naira, you know they're going to sell for 15 naira, right? They're able to mitigate. But for those who are receiving salary, employees, I don't really know how they're going to go around it. It's going to be difficult. So it is urgent that government should do something. One, the salary can be increased to mitigate the effect. Not only government, we're also talking of the private setup. Like this is owned by a private individual. The salary should also be reviewed, if possible, so that the workers here can be able to cope with these effects. Same for other private establishments. Those who work in the bank, obviously, they also go to the market. They are going to face the effects. So it cut across all board. For us to be able to survive this time, one, the salary of employees, civil servants, should be increased. They should stop doing what they are doing. They only care about themselves. I'm talking about the politicians. Anything that affects them, they are so quick to respond. But once it affects the common man, they'll be fit dragging. It will take a lot of time before they will want to kind of make a move. But this is no time for that. They should understand the gravity of the situation, how this would also affect crime rate. I don't know if you are getting, this is a serious matter. Crime rate obviously is going to shoot up because an hungry man is an angry man. When somebody is hungry, he can do and undo. So the problem Nigerians are facing is this stomach, and the government should see how they can quickly address this issue. Like I said, the Tinubu administration, they are facing a lot of challenges. Tinubu in himself, as a president of this country, the question is, he needs to brace up for the challenges ahead.
You're talking about the challenges ahead. In the past, you are either rich or you're poor.
Yeah.
But currently, there's a statistics that now differentiate between the poorest of the poor. So among the poor, we have the poorest among them. And from the projection of World Bank, that we are going to be having about 101 million Nigerians pushed into poverty. That's about half of our total population. Yeah. Do you think, because in the past we've seen projections that didn't really work. We've had projections, we've seen projections that never saw the light of the day. Do you think this projection is real?
Well, if I may say, the National Bureau of Statistics, those figures they are giving us, they are quite true, but it's not the true picture. We are saying that about 101 Nigerians will be pushed to poverty.
101 million.
1 million Nigerians will be pushed into poverty. I bet you, if we retake the real statistic, it's more than that.
Oh, really?
Who are already in abject poverty. Then we used to say that an average Nigerian is living below $1. Dollar is too big. Some people cannot even afford a square meal morning, afternoon. They will have to wait in evening to eat before they go to bed. These are the realities. People sleep under the bridge. Do you think a normal human being would like to sleep under the bridge? Not at all. No housing. So the situation is alarming because the poverty rate in Nigeria is more than what they are reporting. And if the World Bank is making such projection, they are not wrong. And I tell you, it will get more than that.
Okay. Dominic is still there, and he's part of this conversation. Dominic?
Of course, he just touched on the area I wanted to ask. That's the poverty rates for Nigeria as projected by the IMF. But I want to find out from him the figures that dished out, just like you mentioned, 101 million Nigerians. But how do you really define those who are to be poor? You saw what played out when they were distributing the palliative during the COVID-19 period. Even as it started, palliative for the subsidy also, the government said money will be transferred to the very poor in the society. Now, how do you define who are poor? We've already said it here that civil servants, people who work and income, cannot really. That's how things are coming in. So how do we really identify that these are the poor in the country, going by the figures that has been given by the International Monetary Fund?
Okay, so we are trying to identify those who are poor, if I get your question correctly, because there's network glitches as you were speaking. Well, I would want to say that almost every person, not all, that is why I said almost every person you see in the street stand a risk of being part of this figure. The market woman in the street, our mothers, our fathers, they stand a risk of being part of this figure if care is not taken. Now, what about the small and medium-scale businesses along the roadsides? You see some of these persons, they can't even afford to rent a shop to stock their goods and showcase their products. They use what we call tashes, woods, and nails to build their showcasing point. What do you call those people? Do you think they like being there? They are part of these people we're talking about. Because now, with the fuel subsidy removal, their situation is even becoming worse, especially if their business requires PMS. Take, for example, the barbing shop, where we go cut our hair. Now, you agree with me that the epileptic power supply is not dependable. Obviously, they depend largely on PMS. So how will they survive? Now, what about the little kids that goes to school? Obviously, they want to cut their hair. Some of them now, they carry hair for almost 2 to 3 weeks. Why? It's not that they like to have such hair. To cut hair now, if you don't have 500 naira, 400 naira, you can't cut a decent hair. So this is the effect we are talking about. That is why I said almost every person will be affected. Not just those who are working in the offices, who are receiving salaries, not only them. The common man in the street, everyone. I myself am affected. For example, I have to fuel my vehicle, I have to buy products that I have to resell, I'm affected. The other day I was buying a product, in fact, it was as if I was having a kind of a quarrel with the person who was selling it to me. I said, "Come, I just bought this thing 2 weeks ago. How are you telling me now that it's 1,800? I was hungry. And
you had to resell?
I'm to resell. I later now asked myself, I said, I can't blame this guy. He bought also. That was my own disquieting thought inside of me.
Okay.
Out of a little kind of sadness in me, I bought them and went back. Now, the end users, the consumers are coming, right? Obviously, I'm not going to sell it the price.
They are going to feel the brunt of the,
they are going to feel it
price
too.
hike.
I'm not going to sell it the price I bought it to. Definitely, I'm going to have my own profit to be able to offset the bills that is associated with running the business. And also my own family. I have to take care of my family too. So we are all in one way or the other.
So your family need is tied to what you sell?
It's tied to it.
Cost of running business tied to what you sell?
It's all there. It's all factored into there. Now, when you ask me, who are these people that are affected? That is why I said it's almost every one of us. It's only 5% that may not be totally affected. And who are these 5%? Those are the hands of affair.
Okay.
The government.
This government, It has been projected that to achieve a fiscal savings of approximately 2 trillion naira in 2023. That's equivalent of about 0.9% of GDP. Now, these savings are expected to reach over 11 trillion naira by the end of 2025. However, this administration has saved 400 billion so far in their first month in office. And some analysts are saying, well, if the Tinubu administration has been able to save 400 billion naira in their first month in office, then there's a way out. The government, if they can save this money wisely, if they can put it into good use, it will revive and revamp the economy. What's your thought?
They've said it well. You know, the challenge we've always had in this nation is that money are not spent for what they are meant to be spent on.
What do you mean?
That is the fear I'm having. Now, we are suffering it. We are paying the price now, as if we are donating our blood, so to say, our sweat, everything, for their own negligence over the years. We are paying the price now. Now, the dividends of this, our sacrifice, is already coming out. Who are supposed to benefit from it? It is those who have made the sacrifice. Because see, when we talk about fuel subsidy removal, look at it so that we understand clearly. What I always say, we are the one paying the sacrifice. Frankly speaking, this fuel subsidy removal is not supposed to be removed at all.
But it didn't just, sorry, I need to pause you. The subsidy removal didn't start now. Previous administration, successive administration has pushed for this. Goodluck Jonathan, President Buhari, and of course, this current administration. So did it just start now?
When I was listening to the former CBN governor, Sanusi, that man, I respect that man a lot. That is one man I've listened to, and I knew that in all regions, in all different parts of Nigeria, we have people who are intellectual, people who are honest, people who are ready to do the right thing. And Sanusi is one of them. When he was speaking, he said fuel subsidy is not the problem of Nigeria. He said it's rates. Now, how do we understand this? When we're talking about fuel subsidy, the actual money that is being paid to these marketers, these importers, is not the real amount.
Okay.
Inflated. When something is 10 million, they will tell you it's 20 billion. Who are they paying this money to? When he was in that conference, he asked the audience, is it the 3 trillion naira that was paid? Who did they pay to? They were all muted. They couldn't speak. And that was a good question. You see, the corruption surrounding the fuel subsidy over the years is what has hiked that price to trillions.
Right, I would like you to quickly react to this as we begin to wrap up. The poorest of the poor and the vulnerable among us are the recipients of this harsh economy per se. And stakeholders are of the opinion that those in power should reduce their cost of governance. Cost of running government should be reduced drastically so that vulnerable Nigerians and the poorest of the poor, as the speculation says, should be inculcated into the economy in a way that they won't feel the adverse effect of it. Just take us through this as we begin to wrap up now.
Our government, they need to build a trust system in our hearts. I won't lie to you, I don't trust the government. I don't trust our government. And I can bet that an average Nigerian in the street don't trust the government. Because they will say one thing and will do another thing. So now, we are making the sacrifice now. A lot of savings are coming in.
Okay.
A lot of fiscal gains are coming in.
Okay.
Are we going to see this money revamping the economy?
Okay.
Now, you just said they've saved about
400 billion.
400 billion naira. Now, are they going to just keep the money? Or they should start seeing what they can put it into how it can have an effect, a positive
Now,
effect.
this will be our next point of call in our subsequent discussion.
Okay,
We don't have time again. Thank you so much for always coming through,
Pleasure's always
Benjamin Osasere.